Sheriff Bowler, thank you for your special kickoff to the ceremony. On behalf of the college, I'd like to open these ceremonies by extending a warm welcome to all of you, students, families, friends, and distinguished guests. This spring, we have an amazing mix, including bachelor's candidates from the class of 2022. We also have with us the class now affectionately known as 22.5. And we have our master's candidates from the Center for Development Economics and the graduate program of the History of Art. I also want to recognize a special group of seniors who unfortunately tested positive this week and are joining us from the balcony of Stetson Library. So a big hello to them. We are really glad you're here. We're delighted to see all of you and grateful that you've gathered from far and near for this wonderful today. As some of you know from our initial invocation, this is the Jewish holiday of Shavuot, so I'd like to include a special welcome to those who are joining us while celebrating this holiday. It is wonderful to hold our first fully traditional commencement since the start of the pandemic. I also want to acknowledge those whom we hoped and expected would be here today, but who couldn't be, including people we've lost to COVID or for any other reason, and the impact of their absence on our graduates. Let's take a moment to remember them today. I know you hold them with you as we begin this celebration. With this, the college's 233rd commencement, we continue the tradition of flying the flags of each of the 46 countries represented by this year's graduates, colorful and inspiring symbols of the world from which our students have gathered and to which they will go forth after today. One of the nicest aspects of the weekend is being able to watch our graduates share moments with faculty and staff who have done so much to make their Williams experience productive and rewarding. That includes the facilities, dining, and campus safety staff who have worked and are working to make today's celebration possible. I therefore ask that we recognize all members of the Williams faculty and staff. Most prizes and fellowships awarded to members of the senior class were announced by Dean Sandstrom yesterday at Ivy Exercises. A list of the recipients, as well as lists of seniors receiving various categories of honors, can be found at the back of the commencement program. Please join me in congratulating them on their wonderful achievements. The William Bradford Turner Citizenship Prize was established in memory of Mr. Turner of the class of 1914, who was killed in action in France in 1916. The prize is awarded to that member of the graduating class whose service, leadership, and goodwill have inspired the gratitude and admiration of this community, and whose wholehearted embrace of the institution has helped us to see more clearly its highest purpose. This year's recipient has reshaped not just student life at Williams, but life at Williams. You were an influential member of our residential housing team for 3 years. You served with faculty and staff on a strategic planning committee that worked to envision the next 20 years of the student experience beyond the classroom. You mentored your peers at the 68 Center for Career Exploration and represented them on the campus committee for diversity and community. To quote from your award letter, "It is hard to imagine how a single student could accomplish this, all the while acting as a constructive agent for change on campus." Many of us on faculty and staff regard you as a gentle and wise partner, and even a colleague. There are a few of us who are wondering just exactly how we're going to run the institution once you graduate. We are so proud of you today, but we'll also miss you. I now have the pleasure of calling on stage this year's winner of the William Bradford Turner Citizen Prize, Essence Perry. With the ending of this academic year, 8 members of our faculty are also reaching the conclusion of their Williams careers. These are people who have devoted themselves to teaching and mentoring students, often for decades. They have supported students across their 4 years here and often long into their lives as alumni, while also pursuing important scholarly and professional work and contributing to the life of the college. I will read citations honoring Dwayne Bailey, Ben Benedict, Jerry Caprio, Helga Druxis, Lori Hetherington, Paul Park, Jay Toman, and Scott Wong. What a final few years they have had. They and their colleagues have made it their life's work to educate and support our students, including today's graduates. I now have the pleasure of honoring each of them this morning. Wayne, I begin with you. You are endlessly energetic, intellectually playful, creative, compassionate, and deeply insightful. Not to mention, incorrigibly irreverent. In fact, one colleague describes you as, quote, an equal opportunity lampooner of all things dopey. And not without purpose. Alumni fondly recall rant hours, high-spirited lectures in which you waxed irate about technology or society's problems, all to make the point that they, as Williams computer science graduates, would soon be in a position to do something about it. Between rants, you treated students to some of the most innovative, most rewarding learning experiences of their Williams careers. There is an entire Facebook group devoted just to the legendary final project from CS237. This engrossing assignment pitted undergrads not only against classmates, but also against generations of former students in constructing highly optimized microcode. Student after student reports that your belief in them, your encouragement, and your generosity with both time and wisdom gave them the confidence to complete a sticky problem, a tough course, a difficult thesis project, or an entire major. Non-majors rave too about your courses on computer graphics and life as an algorithm. Your research takes on important problems ranging from computer architecture to abstract mathematics, and most anything in between. You contributed immeasurably to computer science education worldwide with 2 valuable, widely adopted textbooks and associated materials. Aperiodic tiling, reprogrammable hardware, the Collatz problem, well, much of what you do is Greek to many of us, but we do understand and appreciate great teachers, great mentors, great scholars, and equal opportunity lampooners. I hereby declare you the A. Barton Hepburn Professor of Computer Science Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining hereto. Congratulations. Ben Benedict. Tradition says architects design buildings and builders build them. Architecture teachers teach them and students study them. But your courses turn those notions upside down. Students spend late nights in the design studio and long, inspiring weekends building the structures they designed. At a firm you and Carl Pucci founded 40 years ago, called improbably Bumpzoid, your work was known for being subtle and witty. You bring the same sense of style and humor to your courses, yet you also teach with a seriousness of purpose and craft. Former students who went into architecture appreciatively remember your critiques as biting. Yet they were also inspired by your care. One remembers presenting a project that he didn't feel was his best work, yet you picked out elements that you liked and told him that you knew he wasn't proud of it yet. They also remember your parting remark at the end of your courses: "If you ever get arrested, call me." You've taught about solar angles and brought in leading professionals from a range of perspectives. You've challenged students to rethink your past projects and to develop their own vernacular. And then you've swapped the books in their hands for hammers and taught them what it's like to take an idea from concept to construction. You've even taught them a mnemonic pronounced as kiss lips. I don't actually know what that means, but you'll fill me in. Tradition says this isn't how architecture is taught. Tradition also says professors don't take their students go-karting in their backyard. Thank goodness you didn't get that memo. I hereby declare you senior lecturer in art emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Jerry Caprio, class of 1972. Historians don't have a monopoly on the dictum about remembering the past or repeating it. Economists must remember too. And students are amazed at your encyclopedic recall of centuries of economic catastrophe, along with the attendant lessons for today's policymakers. Dot-com collapse, a bubble in Bitcoin. Here you'd point out is what we might do, based perhaps on what we know from the 17th century Dutch tulip mania. Historical insight and policy perspective help to explain why your courses are so popular. Also part of the magic, your field-leading research on bank regulation, your focus on analytical and communication skills, your sense of humor and genuine interest in students' lives and careers. You returned to your alma mater in 2006 after a long career in senior positions at the World Bank and other key institutions. As chair of the Center for Development Economics, you broadened the curriculum and built a significant endowment. You ensured that the center had the means to admit the most promising students from the neediest nations. You recruited stellar faculty members, nurtured a vibrant intellectual atmosphere, and immeasurably improved CDE facilities. CDE graduates now in 110 countries may not have all the answers. Because of you, however, they know how to ask the right questions and what to do next. We are pleased you'll continue teaching at the CDE, where thanks to another of your campaigns for excellence, they finally have a coffee maker that brews to your exacting standards. I hereby declare you the William Broke Professor of Economics Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Helga Druxis. You are a habit our students just cannot break, and they don't want to. Your exuberance and passion bring them back for course after course. Classes focusing on the German language, on literature and cinema, on cultures and ideas, on the issues and movements. Former students remember their experiences with you as some of the most influential of their lives. Your classroom is always a stimulating and enjoyable place to be. The teaching is creative and motivating. The learning is immersive and rewarding. Your insightful feedback inspires students to analyze more closely and to think more critically. We should also mention that your meals and baked goods are legendary, and you're just fun to be around. After all, as one former student says, It's not every professor who can get first years interested in accusatives, datives, and genitives at 8 a.m. The breadth of both your teaching and your scholarship is phenomenal. Here are just a few of the many, many issues you address. In 5 books, countless other scholarly projects in your courses through the lenses of literature, film, cultural, and history, neoliberalism, feminism, Islamophobia, xenophobia, Holocaust memory, migration, digital media, hate speech, and multiculturalism. Oh, and espionage. You have an eye for style and a deep critical appreciation of literary and visual culture. Even more, you are known by your students and teaching assistants as generous and supportive, passionate and patient, humorous and dedicated. Your focus is on students' growth, both as scholars and as human beings. You always look for the opportunity to say yes. What more can we ask of a Williams professor? I hereby declare you Paul H. Hunn, 55, Professor in Social Studies Emerita, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Lori Hetherington. Your students think of you as not just as one of the best professors ever, but as one of the best people. A scholar, teacher, and mentor of immense integrity and compassion. One alum says, "Yours was the only class I never cut." I can't believe I just said that out loud. You arrived in 1984 as the first clinical psychologist on the Williams faculty and one of the few at any liberal arts college. You pioneered community placements in undergraduate clinical psych courses. You changed pedagogy nationwide and laid a foundation for Williams' focus on experiential learning. Your research interests include previously underexplored questions about family therapy. The measures and methodologies you developed transformed the specialty from theory to empirical science. Faculty across departments respect you as a leader, recalling among many contributions your management of a college-wide curriculum review. There are also the stories students share about your work as a master quilter, about how you sewed masks for them in the pandemic when masks were hard to come by, about legendary meals at your home, and how you once calmly left in the middle of class because it was time to have a baby. Many of them credit you not just for their careers, but their values and the way they aspire to live. As devoted as you are, you're equally committed to Gould Farm, another important Berkshire County institution. Nearly 3 decades as board member and collaborator, you have led staff there to think of you as simply the real deal and someone who, quote, embodies what it means to be human. We enthusiastically agree. I hereby declare you Edward Dorr Griffin Professor of Psychology Emerita, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Paul Claiborne Park. In one of your many highly regarded works of speculative fiction, a certain quiet Massachusetts college town turns out to be something else entirely. You two are really something else. When you return to this quiet college town, you are already a highly accomplished and globally admired author. You are also no stranger, son of 2 legends of the faculty, brother of an equally beloved member of staff. You had grown up here. If, however, Williams has been a part of who you are also a significant part of what Williams has become. You've taught so many students to appreciate the art and craft of inventing alternative worlds. You've helped so many over the years to imagine their own. That would have been a success enough, But when the college perceived a need for intensive courses in expository writing, it was to a master of literary writing that we turned. You devised an altogether ingenious approach that made students not only successful writers, but also successful students. Your former undergraduate and graduate students say they use what you taught them every day. Thanks to you, they write creatively, effectively, and with confidence. Thanks to you, they have found and believe in their voices. They admire your passion, appreciate your humor, and commend your humanity. Wherever they go and whatever they do, they apply your ideas, your techniques, and even more importantly, your example of diligence and kindness. I hereby declare you the Senior Lecturer in English Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. John W.J. Toman, Jr., class of 1982. Students simply adore your teaching. Appropriately, for a physical chemist, you emit energy. Sorry. They absorb it. As you bound around classrooms that always feel too small for your lanky frame, they eagerly fill their notebooks with concepts, equations, and your hysterical quips. You take great delight in instruction. You go all out to support every student. Your lectures are renowned for clarity. Your in-class demonstrations are celebrated, and some are literally explosive. In the lab, you shine laser light onto molecules to unlock their deepest secrets. You've also developed a focus on environmental chemistry, characterizing PCBs, heavy metals, and other contamination here in the Berkshires. In both lines of work, you are a generous collaborator. In both, your students learn chemistry and analytic techniques ordinarily not taught until graduate school. A stalwart on powerhouse Williams swimming teams as an undergraduate, you have remained a team player. You leaped in wherever needed in chemistry. In environmental studies, you were a key contributor to the introductory course. Somehow you've also found time nearly every year to teach your wildly popular winter study in glass blowing. And talk about a team player. You held the demanding role of college marshal for 7 years. You ensured that Williams ceremonies like this one proceeded with the optimal balance of solemnity and joy, tradition and efficiency. It is more than apt that since 2008, you have held a chair endowed in honor of a Williams icon, your mentor and friend, Hodge McGrath. Like Hodge, you love students, you love chemistry, and you love Williams. I hereby declare you the J. Hodge McGrath Professor of Chemistry Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges pertaining thereto. Scott Wong. What a long, strange trip it's been. You've taught courses that carried students from the Trojan War to Vietnam, encouraged them to find the history of America in family photo albums, helped alumni bridge the connections between mindfulness and fly fishing. Your personal interests are as varied as your academic ones, which is why one former student still remembers asking about your sabbatical plans, and you said, "I'm going to learn to cook a really good fried chicken." But while you know how to have fun, you're dead serious about scholarship and teaching. Your research on Chinese American life during the late 1800s and early 1900s helped shape the field of Asian American studies. Typical student reminiscences say, quote, "Growing up as a child of immigrants, it was incredibly eye-opening to be able to contextualize my own life in the scope of history." And quote, "Dr. Wong set me on a path where I could pursue answers to the questions most relevant to my life." You're as beloved by the many faculty you've mentored as you are by the seniors whose theses you've supervised. Over time, you made your story part of the Williams stories too, laying the groundwork for our new Asian American Studies program. Now your papers will be preserved in the Chapin Library because in the process of teaching and studying history, you've made Williams history yourself. There's plenty more of that story to come. To paraphrase one of your favorite artists, Bob Dylan, though the line is cut, it ain't quite the end, so we'll just bid farewell till we meet again. I thereby declare you Charles R. Keller Professor of History Emeritus, entitled to all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations. Can I have another big round of applause for all of our retiring faculty?